Caritamrta class. Today we are very fortunate to have with us His Grace Jayanand Gauranga Prabhuji to enlighten on the topic of Sri Caitanya Caritamrta Antya lila 19.78 onwards. Hare Krishna, Jayanand Gaurang Prabhuji. Please accept my Dandavat Pranam. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving your very precious time and association this morning and enlightening on the topic. I hand over the call to you. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, we cannot hear you.
Okay. Thank you, Mataji. You're able to hear me now?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurummilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaiham Dadati Swapadantikam Vande Aham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Jaya Pataka Swaminiti Namini Namacharya Padaya Nitai Kripa Pradayini Gaura Katha Damadaya Nagaragrama Tarini Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Shatarani Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you very much for this opportunity. Vanchakalpatarupyascha kripasindubhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. So we are reading here from Sri Caitanya Caritamrta Antya lila, chapter 17, verses 78 through 87. So you're all able to see the screen, the PowerPoint screen? Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, thank you. Ekakale Vaishakhera Paurnamasi Dine Ratri Kali Mahaprabhu Chalila Udyahani. So the translation, one full moon night in the month of Vaishakha, that's somewhere between April and May, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to a garden. So that's the verse. We will read a couple of more verses and then let's start the discussion after that. Verses 79 through 87. Text 79. The Lord, along with his devotees, entered one of the nicest gardens called Jagannatha Vallabha. In the garden were fully blossomed trees and creepers, exactly like those in Vrindavan. Bumblebees and birds like the Shuka, Shari, and Pika talked with one another. Mild breeze was blowing, carrying the fragrance of aromatic flowers. The breeze had become a guru and was teaching all the trees and creepers how to dance. Brightly illuminated by the full moon, the trees and the creepers glittered in the light. The 6 seasons, especially spring, seemed present there. Seeing the garden, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, was very happy. The 6 seasons, they are the 4 seasons that we see in the Western seasons, plus there are 2 additional seasons. You have the spring, summer, autumn, and winter. In addition to that, you have the monsoon season, which is the 5th season, and the 6th season is pre-winter. So in this atmosphere, the Lord had his associates sing the verse from the Gita Govinda, beginning with the words Lalita Lavanga Latha, as he danced and wandered about with them. So that verse from Gita Govinda, it's basically um, uh, starts as Lalita Vasanga, Lalita Lavanga Lata, Vasante Vasante Kusuma Sukumari, like that. So Radharani is beautiful and delicate like the Vasanti flower in the spring season. So something like that it starts. In this atmosphere, the Lord, so when he heard the Gita Govinda, then as he thus wandered around every tree and creeper, he came beneath an Ashoka tree and suddenly saw Lord Krishna. So that's this picture here that he suddenly saw Lord Krishna as he came in next to an Ashoka tree. So when he saw Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began running very swiftly, but Krishna smiled and disappeared. So that's the pastime here. So having gotten Krishna and then lost him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell to the ground unconscious. So now let's discuss this. So the first comment that I would make here is about the gopis' love for Krishna. So Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti, who is the spiritual master of Baladeva Vidyabhushana, so he comments on this subject in his commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam. He has written an elaborate commentary on the Srimad Bhagavatam. And there he explains about, says that when one experiences these intense emotions, then one forgets everything else. And then he contrasts this to the state of illusion that the individual, that the conditioned living entity is in this world. So there are two kinds of, so basically the distinction here is the forgetfulness of the gopis versus the forgetfulness of the conditioned souls. So both are not, they are just completely apart from each other. They don't have any relevance to each other. Okay, but you have, so that is known. That's where I'm going to start this discussion. So the minds of the gopis, they are bound by the constant association with Krishna. So, and by his constant association, they are, so, and the gopis are bound in that constant association with great strength. So by the word bound, it means, the word actually means, it's like some kind of a paralysis, which is caused by Krishna's colorful pastimes. Krishna's colorful pastimes paralyzes them and binds the functions of the gopis, just as in this verse, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell unconscious. So it binds the functions of the gopis' minds. And what do the gopis then become? They become like a desire cows to fulfill Krishna's wishes. So the gopis lose awareness of their bodies, and they are in complete trance, in the sense that they do not even know like where they even come from, like whether they come from north, the south. They lose sense of direction. They're not aware of this world. They're not aware of this material world either. And so in that sense, it is like so that's the second point I wanted to say here about the gopis' love. So the second point is about the loss of awareness of one's body. Okay, so they lose this awareness because of the intense affection for Krishna. And then, and the kind of, since they lose any kind of awareness of this material world, one may say, how does this compare with the sage's Brahman realization? So a sage's realization, again, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says that it's very different. Okay, because both of them has similarities, but the sage experiences the Brahman, the impersonal effulgence of Krishna. However, the gopis experience the supreme personality of Godhead, the Bhagavan. Okay, the Bhagavan feature. And so with this example, he says that the gopis' forgetfulness of this world and the awareness of this body is not meant to indicate that the yogi's attainments, and whether it is a yogi or someone who's seeking Brahman realization, they and the gopis, they are not on the equal platform. There is a vast difference between that. That's because the gopis um, 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 unawareness of this world is mixed with the feeling of possessiveness, but whereas a yogi's um way towards a yogi's method does not have this feeling of love for Krishna. So now Jiva Goswami, he expands this into 5 different stages so this is about the gopis and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So let's also look at like what happens with the Jiva souls, okay, like us. So Jiva Goswami explains this in the Bhakti Sandarbha and Anucheda 278. There he explains about 5 different stages and to understand how one progresses towards the stage of Samadhi. So the first stage here is he differentiates this on the various levels of meditation. So when we chant the holy names of Krishna, so we can chant by meditating on the name, the qualities, the pastimes according to the depth of absorption that one has. Okay, so it starts in that order by following that order, where one focuses on the Supreme Lord's name, then his form, his qualities, and then his pastimes. So Jiva Goswami calls this first stage as Smarana, or remembrance of the Supreme Lord in one way or the other. So there's occasional remembrance here, which is stage 1. The second stage is called Dharana, which is a more focused concentration of the Lord. Okay. So first you have occasional remembrance, which is Smaranam. And then you have Dharana, it's more focused. And now you focus on the personality of Godhead. The third is Dhyana. So in Dhyana, what happens is one specifically and consciously meditates on the Lord's name, form, and qualities. So there is a conscious meditation here, which is dhyana. And then the fourth one is called Dhruva Anusmriti. Okay, Dhruva Anusmriti. So it's a conjugated word here, where one's meditation on the Lord becomes a constant flow of nectar. Okay, so there is a constant flow of nectar in that meditation. The fifth stage is Samadhi, which is called trance, where the Lord alone is present in one's thought and one is not even aware of oneself. So clearly, the gopis of Vrindavan's meditation on Krishna is easily in the trance platform, but it has to be distinguished between the yogis who perform this kind of a path that is going towards this 5 stages leading to Samadhi. It's not the same because, okay, indeed, because there is an extreme depth of the meditation on Krishna, the absolute truth, showing that the gopis are the topmost of the yogis. Out of all the yogis, the gopis are the topmost. So let's understand here in this verse what happens. Like, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes and by the tree he sees Krishna and then Krishna disappears. So similar things have been exhibited by the gopis in the past. Okay, so in the gopis, and they are in the Dwapar Yuga here on this earth. So Jiva Goswami further comments about it, about the gopis' mood as Krishna described, and he describes this in the Krishna Sandarbha, Anucheda 176 and 177 too, I think. So where the gopis are not able to distinguish between what is manifest and what is unmanifest pastime. So that means that they are, even though they were in this world, sometimes they are in this world, sometimes they are in Goloka Vrindavan. So that means the manifest pastimes, when it is manifest, it's called prakata, but it just fluctuates. It goes back and forth. So, or it becomes unmanifest. Okay, so for them, because what is the meaning of this is that the gopis are not aware whether they are in this world or whether they are in Goloka Vrindavan, because for them it is the same. So, and So they come and go, okay? And the gopis remain. So that means that the gopis remained in this world as only names and forms, okay? Since their minds were always in Krishna. As far as the gopis are concerned, it's unlike us. You see, for unlike us, there is no fall down. That means that they are actually in the spiritual world, whether it is manifest, prakata, or unmanifest, which is aprakata. Manifest or unmanifest, it is the same for the gopis because they are always Krishna conscious and they are the topmost of the yogis. Okay, as far as they are concerned, there is no difference because, and sometimes it's manifest, sometimes it's unmanifest, and it goes back and forth. So they remained in the state of what is called as the Mahabhava, which is in fact difficult for them to bear and which had become manifested due to the extreme longing due to separation. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu experiences the same thing here. So sometimes it's manifest, sometimes it's not manifest. And so they go and they fluctuate here between being visible and as far as they are concerned, it makes no difference between this world and Goloka Vrindavan. It's the same. Sometimes when Krishna comes to see the gopis, just like how Krishna came here to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu by the Ashoka tree, they attain Krishna's association, and the gopis become extremely happy that their minds are bound by that union, and they do not know at that time whether those pastimes are manifest or whether they are unmanifest. So the gopis' focus on Krishna causes them to forget everything else. So that's what we saw about in the previous slide with Jiva Goswami, what he says. So all those hundreds and thousands of gopis, they understand that Krishna to be their most charming lover, and in this way they are actually unaware of Krishna's actual position. Okay, so that means Krishna's actual position gets covered. Krishna's actual position gets covered because the gopis are unaware that whether they are in the manifest realm or the unmanifest realm. And it's the Krishna's actual position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is covered for them. Okay, so it's that the Yoga Maya covers it, and yet by ultimately associating with Krishna, the gopis are tamed. They are their vision of him is not that he is just the supreme absolute truth. This is according to Bhagavatam 11.12.13. The intensity of gopis' love for Krishna covers their knowledge of him being in his supreme position. And this is also further confirmed here by Jiva Goswami in Krishna Sandarbha 177. So that's the fluctuation between, and that's exactly the same thing that's happening with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu here. You see, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is also in this similar thing. So Krishna is, in one sense, is visible in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then in the other sense, he is not visible. So, and then there is a fluctuation of these pastimes in between these two realms, and so let's take some examples and then see some analogies here between the gopis and the activities described here by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So even when Krishna, when he apparently left Dwaraka, okay, because I'm saying apparently left Dwaraka because Krishna does not leave Vrindavan, and the gopis were separated from him, they still remain fully attached to him. So they remain fully attached to him, and in that separation, it goes to higher and higher stages of love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And they found, even though Krishna went to Dwaraka, they found no substitute for that happiness. So it's not like they went and replaced Krishna with something else. They found no substitute for their happiness, and filled with intense pain. So that comes with the intense pain of separation. Because of the deep love, they did not see any person other than Krishna, such as their own friends, as a source of happiness. So that means that they did not go and find, if somebody else could fill that void or the gap, because that space can only be filled with Krishna, and that gave them intense pain due to that separation. So this means that all that the gopis could see is that the happiness, as they are now they could see is the happiness that's no longer there, separated from Krishna. Okay, all the nights without Krishna, okay, and all of those nights seemed such long in terms of the length of the night. Okay, it seems like a moment seemed like trillions of years for the gopis, that it became intolerable for them to maintain that, maintain and live, maintain their body, maintain themselves in that separation from Krishna. And so this describes the quality of their the possession of the gopis, and how in with respect to their most beloved Krishna. And so so for the gopis, the association, how they feel that is that then those nights being separated from Krishna is like equal to a day of Brahma. Okay, because the day of Brahma is so long, and that's how it is for the gopis. So this is about the gopis separation from Krishna. And now we will see again a similar thing with respect to Krishna's, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's separation, okay, separation pastimes from Krishna. So again, and he himself has documented this by saying, Yugayatam nimishena chakshusha pravarshaitam shunyayatam jagat tattvam govinda virahena me. And he has documented this by saying, my Lord Govinda, because of separation from you, I consider even a moment as a great millennium. And as exactly an identical pastime is there with the gopis, where they find the nights without Krishna, when Krishna had left to Dwaraka, as equivalent to a day of Brahma and as trillions of years. So, and tears flow like torrents of rain from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's eyes, that it just makes feel like that the world is void. So these Mahaprabhu's transcendently intense sentiments, which were actually it just the readers of Caitanya Caritamrta. So we should understand here that they're completely devoid of any material consciousness. Okay, and so anybody with material in order to understand, penetrate the meaning of this, there is not even a trace of material material thing in this whole situation. So in his agitation for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a day never ends. For even a moment seems like a millennium. So that's the same thing we saw with the gopis as well. So pouring incessant tears, okay, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's eyes, according to his biographers, they're like with eyes were just like rain coming from clouds in a rainy season. So it's like torrents of tears, and the three worlds have just become void because of the separation from his beloved Lord Govinda. So he feels as if he were burning alive in a slow fire. And in fact, you can even see this in description of there is a temple near Jagannath Puri, where you see the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's body when it falls on the stone melts in the heat because of the Krishna Viraha. So he feels as if he were burning alive in a slow fire. So that is the intense heat that that generates from the body. And Lord Krishna has become indifferent to him just to test his love. So even here, when Krishna, so this is the so yogayatam nimishena chakshusha pravarshaitam shunyayatam jagatsam. So why is Krishna being like this? Because to test his love. And here it's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is acting as what is possible for living entities here, that what is possible for us in terms of how to be. So even though Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna himself, but he's showing here to test his love. And Krishna enacts the pastimes towards the gopis. So that's and this picture here also shows the same thing about how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu fell unconscious after seeing Krishna and then losing sight of Krishna. So at this juncture, let's just take a look a minute about Swarupa Damodar, who has always been with, there's a personal, he's always is a very close associate, intimate associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So he cited, and he says that if Lord Gaura presides on the tip of his tongue. So he's telling the method, how one can reach that kind of a state. That means Lord Gaura needs to preside on the tip of the tongue and reveal himself. So these things, even though we put effort in something, so effort in these things, whatever effort we put, we are still unqualified. So that means that the only qualification that would that would make a living entity experience these kind of pastimes is the causeless mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Lord Gaura needs to preside on the tip of the tongue and reveal himself as the highest transcendental truth about himself. So that causeless mercy is needed. Then only one can be convinced, okay, about all that is narrated here about in the Bhagavatam, okay, and only then one can understand that, because these topics are full of they're completely devoid of anything that is material, whether it's material lust or whatever it is completely devoid of it. So in fact, and that is the nature of this transcendental subject. So that means such a transcendental subject which is completely devoid of anything mundane, anything material, can foster that pure love of God. Okay, so that for us to, so that's because it's, and then the Lord will reveal himself. So that means no matter what kind of effort that we put in, it's not going, it will, Krishna would see that, but at the end of the day, that effort is minuscule compared to the mercy that will be shown by the Vaishnavas and Krishna. So Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhi, which the Vaishnavas show that mercy, and Krishna, because of his causeless mercy, he pulls the devotee. So that means that that will foster pure love of God. So Krishna himself should be able to, Krishna himself should do that for us. I mean, on our own, our ability is very limited. We need to keep putting the efforts to earn that mercy of Krishna, but it's the mercy which is finally going to give that foster the pure love of Godhead. So let's expand this subject and then see a little more about the supra mundane nature of this subject matter. And at this stage, let's look at what Jagadananda Pandit says. So Jagadananda Pandit, okay, he's also an intimate associate of Krishna, and he talks about different aspects of the spiritual love and the supra mundane nature. And so in his book called as the Prema Vivarta, so Jagadananda Pandit is Queen Satyabhama as to Krishna, Jagadananda Pandit is to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, and he perceives, okay, so he says that one must perceive the transcendental significance um, through these kind of literature by the mercy of Krishna, but we cannot pursue that using mundane literature. So it means that you can find a variety of history books that talk about Mahabharata, or many there you can find, you can open different, you can go to, you can open a web browser and then look at different websites where you can have information about Krishna. But even all those literature are, since it is not going to give us that explain the transcendental significance. So through the disciplic succession under the mercy of the Guru and the Vaishnavas, one can understand this, and there is a qualification for that. And what is that? As long as one is attached to the bodily concept of life and interested in only enjoying the senses, okay, that person will never be able to grasp the spiritual truth. So that means that one has to give up all these kinds of attachment towards the mundane things. So that means the basic thing that the Srimad Bhagavatam, if you see the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it pretty much says one thing again and again. And what is that? One has to become desireless in terms of the material realm. So as and when we try to hold to Krishna, we have to let go of the material things. Not one desire, material desire has to go. So that means that the spiritual master, so who is a true spiritual master, is someone who can understand the pure loving exchanges of Lord Krishna and his devotees. He will be able to save the living entity from the clutches of Maya. Okay. If not, that spiritual master is cheating and is just merely an instrument of the Maya. So the spiritual love for Krishna, okay, so is so the first point here Jagannath Pandit makes is that this is that the mundane literature is full of deficits, and one is not going to be able to understand about Krishna from mundane literature. Okay, and our inability to grasp the spiritual truth basically stems from a bodily attachment. Okay. And the next point we're going to do here is about the spiritual love is untainted. So what does it mean by spiritual love is untainted? So that means the spiritual love for Krishna is pure. It's like the sacred waters of the river Ganga when it flows from the feet of Lord Vishnu. And that love is like the unlimited ocean of nectar that devotees spiritual attachment, okay, and it is completely free from even the slightest material contamination, just like a spotless white linen. Okay, so that's the analogy that Jagadanda Pandit uses. Like if you have a spotless white linen, and if you have the same kind of complete absence of material contamination, that is what will give that spiritual attachment. So pure love of Godhead is like an ocean of bliss. Okay, and if one could have just one drop of it, okay, one samsara sindhu tarani hridayam yadishyat sankirtanamrita rasi ramati manasi, even one drop in it, it could inundate the entire universe. So that means one should feel, Jagannath Pandit says that one should feel so wretched that one is 100% attached to the material body and controlled by the material desires, that the person's original form of the pure spirit is never manifest. The original form of the pure of the soul. Every soul is a spiritual body, the form, and the goal is for us to realize that form in relationship to Krishna. And so one needs to feel, actually one needs to feel really very bad. Jagannath Pandit says that one is not able to see the original form of their own pure spirit. It's never manifest. So when one is blinded by this kind of carnal love or material desires and reject the pure spiritual love for Krishna, okay, then Krishna does not respond to such a deceitful approach. So then Jagdananda Pandit says that when one sincerely, so what we need is we need to sincerely and earnestly implore to Krishna for his mercy, so that we will be crowned with success. So in order to be crowned with success, what is the qualification that's needed? That is, we need an earnest and intense yearning. So even if we can see that even in the material world, if we need something very badly, we fight for it so badly that we finally get it. So the spiritual exchanges and emotions that one experiences, okay, of Krishna are all transcendental. And all the symptoms, okay, hasatyato roti rauti gayati unmadavan rititi lokabhaya. So jatanurago dridachitta uchehi. So that's the verse in the Bhagavatam, the 11th canto. I think it's appears somewhere at the beginning. So the spiritual exchanges and the emotions that one experiences towards Krishna are all transcendental in this stage of Mahabhava. And all the symptoms of transcendental mellows find expression in that person. So that means that the ecstatic symptoms of the conjugal mellow are all of supra-mundane nature. So this confirms, okay, so it confirms what is said here by Jagadanda Pandit about the supra-mundane nature, and you need the mercy of Lord Gauranga for that. And the same thing is confirmed here in Prema Vivarta by Jagadanda Pandit, that in order for this to be in, so this entire activities, they're all in supra-mundane nature, and a normal living entity cannot understand these things. So who are under the clutches of the Mahamaya. So let me expand a little more on this before I also cite some of the comments of Rupa Goswami. So Jagadananda Pandit, so what he says is that these kind of exchanges are always experienced between Krishna and the pure spiritual beings. So you have Krishna and the pure spiritual beings who are under Krishna's internal potency, not under the external potency, but then they're all completely of spiritual platforms of supramundane nature and completely transcendent. So we can also see this also from an example of Vilva Mangala Thakur, and where Lord Krishna appeared before him in person, okay, and elevated him to relish those kind of loving exchanges with him, okay, and in the transcendental mood in Vrindavan. So here, Bilva Mangala Thakur, he became very detached from the demands of the physical pleasure and developed an aversion for any mundane sentiments. So all mundane sentiments, one automatically experiences an aversion, that he actually even plucked his own eyes out in order to, and that to, and so Krishna, So one develops a distaste in that circumstance for all the non-scriptural matters which are spurious, and then they accept the true devotional sentiment. But in contrast to this, you can also see when people impose mundane concepts on spiritual exchanges between Krishna and the beloved devotees. So that's something that you don't want to impose anything. Okay, so you don't want to project the mundane concepts onto the spiritual exchanges between Krishna and his beloved devotees. But by the mercy of Lord himself, even those kind of people will eventually become purified to understand the transcendental mellow. So then what would they then do? Then they would reject the image or the sentiments, okay, and the emotion sentiments are from the mundane platform, and then they would completely surrender themselves into Krishna, always engaging in that kind of transcendental loving service onto the Lord. So however, in contrast, one who is engrossed in the pleasures of the material world would never taste that transcendental loving exchanges um, of the beautiful form of the boy Krishna playing his flute. And even if such a form is there in front of him, it cannot evoke any kind of ecstatic emotions or spiritual sentiments in that person, because that person is called as an unfortunate person. Okay, fortune is goddess of fortune, Mahalakshmi. She is present in the place where Krishna is present. Tatra Shri Vijayabhutir. Wherever Krishna is there, there Mahalakshmi is present. So that means that we find in so many places where people go and yearn towards and pray to Lord Goddess Lakshmi, but the trick there is to not directly approach Mahalakshmi there, but to approach Krishna so that Mahalakshmi will be present. So, but those places where the goddess of fortune is not present, those people are called unfortunate people. Who are the unfortunate people? The unfortunate people have identified the self with the body, and they're busy decorating it. They buy beautiful dress, clothes, outfits, and they decorate themselves, the body, and but it's like decorating something that is not really living. So when the thunder, so but what is and how would they? What is the chance for such unfortunate people to wake up? So the chance for them to wake up is called death. So death comes as a thunderbolt and strikes that person down, and that person would not even know what his next birth would be, perhaps as an insect or worse, and who knows how long they would have to spend in the lower planetary systems. On the other hand, if one can subdue, okay, so that's the negative part of it. But if you think of it in a positive perspective, if one can subdue the urge of the material desires, and thus develop a real taste for the loving devotional service at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, the son of Nanda, then one can see the exclusive face of Lord Krishna. If you look at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, which is the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, all auspiciousness stems from his lotus feet. So unveiling the lotus feet of Lord Krishna is the sum and substance of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And that lotus feet of Krishna is the repository of all auspiciousness that one can hope for. And in fact, when we see here, if there is any auspicious things that are happening in our life, it is somehow anything is actually stemming from that lotus feet of Krishna, which is the home for all auspiciousness. And if one is able to see Krishna's smile, then one swiftly returns to his eternal home. Okay, again, going to and where one can sport in the forests of the Goloka Vrindavana, in Goloka Braja, in the spiritual body, and dissociating oneself from the previous identity, that false identity, and the material association. So in disentangling oneself from these things, one then returns to the eternal home to sport with the Lord in the one's eternal body, which is the spiritual body. Okay, so this gradually, so we can see that one will develop this mood of the gopis and they then begin to recollect the original identity in the spiritual world, and then they completely cut loose all the material attachments, and what happens then? At that time, Lord Krishna becomes the only object of love, and the soul becomes that becomes like a repository of that love. So he approached that individual living entity, approaches the Lord through an intermediary, the Vaishnava Guru, who constantly reminds that person of his beloved Krishna. So in this way, the conjugal exchanges in the mood of a paramour goes on increasing, so where is the, but just to contrast, but such a relationship between a paramour and Krishna is absent in outside the Goloka Vraja in the Vaikuntha planetary systems, where between Lord Narayana and Lakshmi. So there, in outside the Goloka, such a relationship would be considered immoral. So there, Mahalakshmi has exclusive relationship with Krishna. So as in the form of Narayana, but in Goloka Vraja, all that is considered transcendental and the best of the process. So pure devotion is actually impossible for someone who is identifying oneself as a man, a woman, someone who is white, black, or whatever one is. Any kind of association like this, it is pure devotion is impossible. So one needs to dissociate oneself from all kinds of bodily attachment and understand that one is neither a man nor a woman nor have any body color or nothing. So one then attains, so as long as this is there, one can never attain this priceless gift of living, of devotional service. And when does this happen? Because when it's polluted by the association of materialistic people. So as long as you're around materialistic people, the one thing that will inevitably happen there is called as pollution from materialistic association, and that will never transport us. It will never transport us to the transcendental realm. And so one who acts on this transcendental platform of rendering service, in the same mode as the damsels of Vrindavan, can cultivate that real spiritual life. So through living in this mode, the gopis, and so one is no longer attached to all these mundane exchanges of the materialistic people, and disentangling us from the pollution of material association. One can come up with the eternal social dealings, eternal social dealings, which is a path, which is a true religion, and one, and then never deviating from scriptural injunction. That person intensely cultivates the moods of the mood exhibited by the gopis of Vrindavan. So that means that one has to transcend this physical plane, and then the charming Krishna becomes that person's life hero, and Krishna's consort becomes the person's heroine, which is Radharani, in all the transcendental pastimes, and they can serve that that primeval Radha Krishna with their purest love. So that glimpse, so if one doesn't have even a glimpse of the beautiful face of Krishna playing on the flute, but one still continues to live this life, that is as good as just like a moth without a purpose in this life, just rushing into flames and then just dying. So that's how we are living our life here, if one is not able to see the beautiful face of Krishna with a smile and a flute. Okay, so this is my last slide for the day. And so here we'll end this discussion here with the 9 qualities of devotees in ecstasy, which is not the Mahabhava Bhava thing, but there is just the qualification before it called Anubhava, which is explained by Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasamrita Siddhu. The verses here, 1.3.25 and 36, the 9 qualities are there. And what are the 9 qualities? Let's see. So these are the stages that one, so these are the 9 qualities of the devotees, in ecstasy. So that means Rupa Goswami says that when the seed of ecstatic emotion, so the ecstatic emotion, when it is planted, then these 9 anubhava gets manifest in the person. The first one is called forgiveness. They forgive. They don't take anything and they forgive. And that is the first quality. It doesn't come by active endeavor of forgiveness. That's not what it is. That is not lasting. It's forgiving for now and tomorrow it's not forgiving. But these are all automatic things that happens as side effect of that kind of intense love for Krishna, which is forgiveness. And number two, there is a concern that time should not be wasted. Okay, so we have a small amount of time here. We need to spend it properly for Krishna. The third one is detachment. So there is an automatic detachment that one has zero material desire. That is a prerequisite for attaining this Krishna prema. His detachment, zero material desire, is completely required. Okay, there is, and then number four, absence of false prestige. And then five, there is hope. So here Krishna comes in front of us, then Krishna disappears in front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that means that there has to be hope, okay, that it is achievable. And then six, there is eagerness. So that intense eagerness to serve and love Krishna. Seven, a taste for chanting the holy name of the Lord. So it's just not done as a mechanical vibration of the tongue, but then as the tongue chants, the spiritual form of the body takes over the chanting, and then the spiritual ears hear it, and Krishna is happy with that kind of an intense chanting. So there has to be a taste, a ruchi for the chanting the holy name of the Lord. Eighth is an attachment to the descriptions of the transcendental qualities of the Lord. So that means that one is interested in hearing about the activities of the Lord as illustrated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So that means like even the Mahabharata is an exalted literature, but then even Mahabharata talks about a lot of mundane stuff related to the Kauravas and their interactions with the Pandavas. So many mundane stuff that it is that sage Veda Vyasa goes to give the spotless scripture, which is the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then when one experiences that, so one has an attachment to the descriptions. If one has that kind of an attachment to that kind of trans, so these kind of people, they don't have attachment to watching some mundane television program or something, but they're attached to hearing the pastimes of the Lord. And the last one is an affection to the places where the Lord resides. For example, even though Krishna is present everywhere, Vasudeva Sarvamiti says, even though Krishna is present everywhere, but then there is also a separate taste for staying in the places like Dwaraka, Mathura, Vrindavan. So in this way, Mayapur. So there is a taste for living in those places where the Lord resides. These are called Anubhava. So these 9 are subordinate signs of the ecstatic emotion. So these are all the signs that are visible. So they're visible in a person in whose heart the seed of love has begun to fructify. So when it is started to fructify, then that seed of love, bhakti lata beej. Okay, so when it is starting to fructify, at that time you'll be able to see this. So this kind of devotional service and ecstasy is the preliminary stage of devotional service. And what is the end stage? It's called prema bhakti. And here, this preliminary stage that is described here by Rupa Goswami is the first ray, and that touches the horizon of a devotee's heart. Okay, just like how the sun continues to rise. So like when the sun is rising, the first ray that touches the horizon, so that's how this Anubhava is, these 9 qualities. And then the sun continues to rise and reveals the ultimate goal of the transcendentalists, okay, which is like the nectar that will make them mad, unmadavat. So it'll make them completely mad. And thus that person, by chanting the holy name of the Krishna, okay, by chanting the holy name of the Supreme Lord, comes to the stage of love of Godhead. Okay, then the devotee is fixed in that love, in that they have a vow. And what is the vow? To be an eternal servant of the Lord. They gradually become attached, okay, to a particular name and a particular form of the Lord who will be manifest to that devotee. So, and as the heart of that devotee melts, okay, so that devotee can laugh loudly, he shouts, and then sometimes the devotee sings and dances, and all these things. This verse actually in the Bhagavatam, it was described by it's all there in the beginning of the 11th canto. It's all some amazing pastimes. It springs from I'm just remembering the name of that sage who narrated it. Okay, so the primary characteristic of love of God is the deep end. Okay, it's the deep state of ecstatic emotion, and the secondary characteristic, okay, which causes the primary one. Okay, so what are the secondary characteristics of such people? There is complete softening of the heart. The heart is completely soft. It's not hard anymore. And there is extreme possessiveness and attachment towards Krishna. So those are the 2 secondary characteristics which stem. And that is, one is softening of the heart. Okay. And the second one is possessiveness, an extreme possessiveness and attachment towards Krishna. So up to the stage of ecstasy, a devotee's mood is that of, that they belong to Krishna. And at the stage of ecstasy, it changes to that of possessiveness, that Krishna belongs to me. So up to the ecstasy stage, it is that you belong to Krishna. And after that, the mood changes, that Krishna belongs to me. So at that stage, the love of Krishna, the devotee's feeling of this possessiveness, they are intensified by a kind of some kind of an exclusive, unique, exclusive, that Krishna there's an exclusive interaction there, which is that of pure love. So I'm going to, I think that's somewhat an elaboration of these verses where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu feels here, and the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I'm going to stop here, and then it's already 10:51 in the US Central Time, and I'm going to stop here, and let's have some discussion here. If you have additional thoughts that you would like to share, it would be great. I'd like to again offer my obeisance to all the Vaishnavas assembled here. Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu, for this fantastic class. And last, I like the 9 qualities of devotees in ecstasy by Rupa Goswami. Thank you so much, Prabhu. And Prabhu, do you have some time to take questions, Prabhu?
Mataji, what is it?
Do you have some time to take questions, Prabhu?
Yes,
from devotees?
we can take for another 10-15 minutes max. Is that okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes,
Okay.
Prabhu. As per your convenience.
Thank you.
Okay, Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So please raise your hands if you have any questions for Prabhuji, then we can go ahead accordingly.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much. I just wanted to thank you for the beautiful presentation. Very interesting. I want to know thank you for
Mataji, your voice is not clear, Mataji.
better now?
We are getting some background noise, Mataji.
I just wanted to thank Prabhu for the nice class. I really don't have any questions, but then I appreciated the slides and the content. I learned a lot today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev, Shri Radha Gopinath ki jai. After a long time, we get your association so nicely explained about Siddham Vrindavan Dham and all the Gopis Bhav in 9 qualities, Prabhuji. Thank you. Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna. Please give your association regularly.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Very, very beautiful class. I really like the 9 qualities, and your PPT presentation was really helpful to understand what you are speaking. Sometimes we might go off track when we are busy or some noise at home, but seeing it your slides, we come back where you are. Thank you so much, Prabhu. It really helps. I request next time when you come, please come like that for your classes. It is easy for me to understand. And I really like the point where you are telling that to understand Lord Chaitanya or Lord Krishna, we need to have his mercy. Otherwise, it is very, very difficult to understand. Sometimes I feel why I don't understand the class or why I'm not able to get it. I mean, like it's completely, I can understand that I really don't have the mercy of Krishna. I have to, pray for the mercy so then I can understand the essence of the scriptures or what the speaker is trying to tell to us. Yes. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Each and every class you are explaining how Gopi's mood was there and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood and how the stone was melted with the separation of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, separation of Lord Krishna. It was so nice, Prabhu. Everything that you shared, it was easy for me to get into my brain today, and it is so nice, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. I really appreciate the wonderful qualities that you're exhibiting in your comments, Mataji. There was so much humility in what you spoke, and even though I'm not qualified, you had a sense of appreciation and also exhibited a lot of knowledge in what you spoke. So thank you so much, Mataji, for your comments. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. I don't know if my voice is clear now.
It is.
Okay. So I just wanted to appreciate the other point that you mentioned about how the gopis seamlessly feel the prakrit and the aprakrit switching. That gives a glimpse of really, I mean, like it's hard to understand, of course, but then at least there is a faint glimpse of how they actually feel. So thank you for that too. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for pointing that out. It's very, very nice point. Thank you. Looks like that's all the number of questions we have on discussion points, Mataji.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. So, dear devotees, if there are no more questions for Prabhuji, then
Prabhuji. I like your class.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you. You're doing well.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, so thank you so much, Prabhu, once again for your valuable time and association. So I would like to pay my obeisances to you and all the devotees on the call. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti Vaishnav Vrind ki jai. Namachara Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Caitanya Caritamrta ki jai. His Grace Jayanand Gauranga Prabhuji ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Prabhu.
Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.